Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Champions. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros: movie stars Woody Harrelson. You all probably knew that. I mean, Woody Harrelson, this dude has been in a lot of stuff. I'd argue way too much stuff. But I'm just gonna cherry pick like all the more noteworthy movies on his resume. So let's do that. I gotta scroll all the way down. So the first major one I see, the one I recognize, is White Men Can't Jump, which is now deemed a classic. I know it's getting a remake. I believe it's in development. But yeah, that's the first one I notice. Indecent Proposal. I don't know if he had a huge role in that. I'm not super sure, but I guess I'm gonna count it anyway. Natural Born Killers. This is an infamous, controversial flick that one could argue is still relevant to this day with the subject matter and everything. But yeah, that is a controversial movie right there. Kingpin, that's more of like a cult movie. It wasn't a big hit in theaters, but I believe it did way better down the line. What else could I mention? Anger Management. I think that was more of a minor role, so I'm not counting that. I think the same applies for No Country for Old Men. Same applies for 7 Pounds. Zombieland. There we go. That's a good one. That is a noteworthy movie, and I'd argue that movie kind of changed his career, kind of changed his trajectory because since then he's gotten like much bigger roles and like bigger flicks because of Zombieland. I believe that was the one that really changed everything. And Zombieland is a fantastic movie. I still think it's fantastic. It's honestly a personal favorite of mine. So yeah, Zombieland, that was a big hit back in '09. It's also in 2012, but he was kind of there for like a little bit. But he was memorable, but he wasn't like a main player in that movie. He was just there to die, pretty much. We also have the Hunger Games movies where he was Haymitch. Obviously, the Hunger Games movies were all big hits, although the series really fell off with the Mockingjay movies. And Mockingjay Part 2 was a disappointment box office wise, but all four made a decent chunk of change. So, yeah. There's also the Now You See Me. I guess Now You See Me 2, which Now You See Me was a big hit. Now You See Me 2, not so much, but it did do better internationally. Oh, Freebirds. I need to mention this. I have to. I feel like I'm obligated to mention this. This became like a meme movie like last November for some reason. It's the Control Your Cocks movie. That's like one meme I've seen. And also the other meme is just the fact that this is the movie where the turkeys go back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu. I saw that meme like so many times. I'm just like, why? What's going on? Why is this a meme? What internet? Please explain. Uh, I just had to mention that because it drove me nuts whenever I saw the meme like last year. Um, let's see. I know Edge of 17 is a good movie. It didn't do that well in theaters, but I know it's good. War for the Planet of the Apes. I believe he was like the antagonist. I think. I'm pretty sure he was. That movie kind of underperformed, which is like really shocking because the first two Apes movies were like big hits, and this just didn't stick the landing. I'm like, what? It still baffles me. um, oh, Solo. He was in Solo. I completely forgot he was in Solo. Like, that's how memorable his character was. And that Solo is a movie I wish I could forget. I'm pretty sure Lucasfilm wants to forget that movie too, considering all the bullshit that happened to the movie that they themselves caused. By the way, of it, yeah, that was. Ugh. I'm not gonna count Venom because he was literally a cameo in that movie. There was Zombieland 2, which did well, did better than the first movie, but no one talks about it at all. I haven't even seen it. I probably should, but I just never got around to it. But yeah. Midway, that didn't do too great. Venom Let There Be Carnage did really well when it came out, mainly because I don't know, people just like the Venom movies, they're guilty pleasures. But yeah, he was like the main antagonist of that, and that made 500 million. It's good. And now we're here with Champions. So Woody Harrelson's been in a lot of movies. Not all of them have been hits, but he has enough hits on his resume just where I can say he's not box office poison. Although this is one of those rare movies where like it's like him and him alone. Because a lot of these other hits, he had a co-star or co-stars with him, like he didn't have to rely on just himself. Here he has to rely on just himself. And I know what happened several weeks back on SNL where he hosted. I didn't look that deep into it, but apparently he made like a jab towards like Pfizer and COVID protocol, something like that. I don't think that's gonna have any effect on this movie at all. I can't imagine it would. I mean, with Kevin Hart, his whole Oscar controversy that happened before the Upside, that didn't hurt the Upside at all. That was like one of the few bright spots in like early 2019. So I don't expect the SNL thing to affect this movie. But yeah, Woody Harrelson, I'd say he's a pro, more or less a pro here. So that's pro number one. Pro number two, this is a basketball movie. Well, sports movie, but mainly basketball. All right, that's the main sport in question here. And basketball movies, I'm not counting Trainwreck. Basketball movies can do well. I mean, the high scores in basketball movies still to this day is Space Jam, which is a classic. Although I can never watch that movie again. I don't think I can. At least I can't listen to the music because a certain someone who's now in jail um made like some of the more recognizable songs from like the soundtrack. I Believe I Can Fly. Ugh. But Space Jam still holds a place in my heart. And it was a big hit. White Man Can't Jump. Look at that. Woody Harrelson again with basketball. And then there's Space Jam 2. Let's not even talk about that. Let's move on. The Coach Carter, Like Mike, Glory Road, Uncle Drew, I guess, all did well, I believe. They all did pretty decent. They all were solid enough hits. I think. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, there's Semi Pro, but that tanked. That did terrible. And that also had Woody Harrelson in it. So this is not Woody Harrelson's first rodeo when it comes to basketball. So I find that pretty interesting. Um, and obviously basketball is stupid popular in the States. Maybe not so well. A lot of these basketball movies, they don't do well outside the States. It's kind of like football in a way. But yeah, basketball is huge. It's been huge for ages. So yeah. Yeah, I'd say like basketball, and besides sports movies are you can usually be pretty popular. I mean, look at Creed 3 last weekend. That had the biggest debut ever for a sports movie. So, I'd say moving about basketball, I say that's a pro more or less. But yeah, I'm going to label that as a pro. This could be it's more middle ground. That's like the other subject matter. The thing that makes this movie stand out from like all the other sports movies is the fact that the team that Woody Harrelson has to coach, they, as the synopsis says, all have intellectual disabilities. Okay, and let's see. I guess learning disabilities. That's a tag. Okay. Um, what can I compare this to? I'm trying to think of. Uh, Damn it! None of these go well. Shoot. So ignore that. So yeah, he has to. It's a Special Olympics team, I think. Yeah, and with that, I mean, as I said, it helps it stand out amongst the crowd. But when you have like a subject matter like this, you have to be careful, very careful, because you know you can easily screw up, and the whole movie becomes offensive, and you just oof, you cause a whole shit show. Okay, so this movie has to walk that tightrope in between like inspirational and offensive, or potentially offensive. And if you do it well, then it's great. If you don't do it well, then it's gonna yikes. um, I don't know if this movie does it well or not. I'm not gonna watch it. Don't. I just don't care about the movie. But yeah, this how it handles the source, how it handles that subject matter. I mean, if it could appeal to audiences, but it could also turn them off. But it all depends on how they handle it. But yeah, so that's more of a middle ground thing, the the Special Olympics aspect of it. Because some could argue that the movie could be, I guess one word people have used is like patronizing. Another thing could be like emotionally manipulative. A lot of sports movies are like that, where like they try to tug at your heartstrings, and it can be just kind of scummy at times. But yeah, I think I said it's more middle ground. I wouldn't call it a pro, but I wouldn't call it a con either. It's more middle ground. What else can I say? Guess I can mention the director, Bobby Farrelly, who is the brother of Peter Farrelly. They're the Farrelly brothers. They've done a lot of movies. Some of the most, probably some more iconic comedies of all time. Mainly Dumb and Dumber, and There's Something About Mary being like humongous hits. And there's also Kingpin. So this is not. There's a lot of weird connections going on. There's that. And then after that, things kind of got really weird. There was like Me, Myself, and Irene, which did okay. They did Osmosis Jones. Did they? They did. Did they? Did they did? Holy shit! Osmosis Jones was a bomb in theaters, but it's it's weird. It's one of those movies where like a bunch of kids be like, "I saw that movie," but the box office tells me nobody did. I mean, I've seen Osmosis Jones like a whole like too many times. I'm pretty sure every kid has seen it in science class because it's related to the subject. But yeah, Osmosis Jones is a classic, at least in my opinion, it is. Shallow Hal, which did decent enough, but then you have Stuck on You and Fever Pitch and Heartbreak Kid and Hall Pass, which all did business. Oh, The Three Stooges. Does anyone even remember that? That didn't do great either. I mean, Dumb and Dumber 2 did decent enough, although it didn't match the original. It still did fine. I guess I might as well mention Peter Farrelly. I mean, it's only fair. If I mention one Farrelly, I gotta mention the other. If I can, this is not working. Okay, Peter, this guy, like he's obviously done the same stuff as his brother, but he's done some different stuff too. Mainly Green Book, which was shit on by a lot of people, but it did make a lot of money and it won Best Picture. Although one could argue that there's a bunch of movies that deserve Best Picture way more than Green Book, but it is what it is. But we're not talking about Peter. We're talking about Bobby, and this is his first solo directorial. Uh, yeah, his first solo directorial debut. Yeah, this is solo debut as a director. So I don't know if I consider him, or I mean, they've made hits, but they made a lot of mediocre performers. So, I wouldn't label it as a pro or a con. What else can I say? I mean, competition wise, I mean, 65 seems doomed to me, and Scream 6 is gonna make money. Creed 3 should still do well, and everything else is just kind of like whatever. So competition isn't, there's no real direct competition, which I mean is good, I guess. So I guess that's a pro. And the last pro I can think of is that I have to look at its reviews off screen from Rotten Tomatoes. Let me see. Trying to. Okay. Champions. Where are you? There you are. It's reviews are not great. They're not awful, but they're not great. It's at 53% as of right now, critics score, so that's if not ideal, but its audience score is quite a bit higher. I don't know why Rotten Tomatoes is being finicky with me. I don't know why it won't just work. Ugh, it's annoying. But I'm pretty sure last I checked, its audience score was like at 77%, which is fine enough. That's not amazing, but that's still okay. And its cinema score is an A, so the audience who did watch this movie, they like it. So that's really all that matters here, is if the audience likes it or not. And it seems like they do like it generally. So good audience score. I say that's a pro. But that's all the pros I got. Cons. Ugh. Okay. In terms of, I guess, publicity, or I guess in terms of like, from like all the movies coming out this weekend, like this one is the smallest. It feels like the weakest. It just it's kind of just like the other movie, because at least 65 that has like dinosaurs. What does this movie have? Not a whole lot in comparison. So I feel like this is gonna like fall through the cracks. Oh, this and 65, both of them can fall through the cracks at the same time. So yeah, like this being like the smallest of the bunch in terms of publicity and everything, that's kind of a con. Another con, I mean, reviews are still not good, but I don't know if I'd label it as a big con. So that's more of like reviews are a minor con. Competition, upcoming competition could be a real problem because there's a lot of movies coming out, a lot of big movies coming out. Shazam 2 next weekend, although I'm not too sure about that movie's chances, but I'm positive John Wick 4 is going to be a hit in 2 weeks. And then after that there's Dungeons and Dragons, and after that is the Super Mario Brothers movie. That's a lot. I don't think this movie can survive that. So the upcoming competition is going to be rough, and that's going to be a con. And I guess another con is that Woody Harrelson, he hasn't had too many movies where he only relies on himself. As I already mentioned, a lot of his bigger hits, he has co-stars. This, he really doesn't. It's mainly just him. So, yeah, that could be a con, potentially. Although he's going to be the main reason why people watch this movie, but I don't know how many people will want to watch the movie just because he's in it. So there's that. Uh, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So opening weekend. Ooh, I'm gonna say somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 10 million. I think it could hit that. I think probably closer to five. And its total will be like, I don't know if this can have long legs. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Maybe like 15 to 20 million total, and yeah, that's it. So that was Champions. I'm not gonna lie, that was a bit of a slog to get through, because that was like the least interesting movie of the weekend. Because I'd rather talk about 65 because, oh boy, there's a lot to discuss with that, but it's also Scream 6, which I'll talk about next, and then 65. So stay tuned for those. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. If you want to watch any of them or any other prediction videos I made the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I covered Champions once. Yeah, once. It was episode 137. I talked about it alongside Barbarian and Armageddon Time. Talked about it alongside those two. So if you want to watch that episode, go right ahead. If you want to watch any of the other cancel episodes I've done, all 180 up to this point, want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage it. So go do that. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just published my February recap. It's up now, or it's been up for a few hours. And my March recap will probably come out after, I don't know, maybe right before Easter, I think. No, maybe after Easter. Yeah, after Easter. After the Super Mario Brothers movie comes out, after that weekend, I will. That's when that recap will hit. So yeah, but if you want to watch any, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, including the most recent one I did, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.